like 11 years old. I remember being 11 years old and my dad being like, hey, will you drive me? You know, because he couldn't turn his neck, you know? So, like, he's like, hey, will you drive me? And I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking drive you. I'll hit like 5'10", a little growth spurt when I was 11. So next thing you know, I was driving my dad places, dude. Like, I remember we dropped him at the post office and he said, go around the block. And I went around the block and fucking hit like 7 cars, bro. Just fucking sided. My dad had a Cutlass, like a Delta 88, you know, like a just straight up fucking rig rider, bro. And I would just, and it was a piece of shit. It was all banged up. And I would just go around the block. And then one time he let me drive him on the interstate. I was doing like 70, 80 miles an hour driving to Hammond. And it's probably about like 30 miles. And my dad's just fast asleep in the fucking passenger side, son. So those are the fucking good old days, man.
What I feel from you a little bit, like when you tell me the stories, you're happy, you miss them and everything. But are these stories weird to tell sometimes? Like, are they weird to tell?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
it's not the normal American family. Like me, I have the same family.
Right.
So I could see that we both share that same little twitch because as you get older, you'll appreciate those stories more because nobody fucking had a life like that. When you're 11, your dad's like, drive the fucking car.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool as
We were all
shit.
begging to drive the car.
You're begging to drive the fucking car at that age.
That's a good
and
point,
it's a small
man.
city.
Right.
You know, cops knew each other. If you got pulled over, it's
it
not
was
like,
chill.
30 fucking years in those days. You
Yeah.
know? But just the fact that sometimes when your parents give you a lot of trust, it does something to you. It's good and it's bad.
Right.
You know, like you had an older dad that he saw life for what it was at 70. And I bet now when you tell those stories sometimes, you're like, should I even say the story? Let me tell you something, Theo Von. You have no idea how lucky you are. You have no idea that you had this life because most kids can't even imagine that shit.
Right.
Most kids have to steal a car at 16. You know, there's so many good points of growing up. No matter how you grow up, as long as your parents were around,
right.
Just having a life is great. I know it's tough. People get adopted and they get stabbed and they get beat up and shit. You know, I'm very lucky when my parents...
Thugs and Muppets, man.
Yeah, when my mom died, I didn't have to go into the system. You know, I was old enough to make my own decision. It's so weird. Till today, I realized I didn't even do paperwork. When my mom died, my friend said, you want to live with us? I'm like, yeah.
That was it.
I kept going to high school. Like nothing. I just switched my address. And
nobody asked any questions.
Who's your legal guardian? Me. That was my legal fucking guardian. Me.
Those are the fucking days, dude. I feel like kids can't have anything like that anymore. Like all the, I don't know, it was just this ambiance. I think before some of the technology we have now that just made everything fucking dope.
One of the reasons why I wanted to go home with my wife and the baby was because of my paranoia of dying. I wanted to walk my daughter up and down the same streets I walked.
Right.
So I parked the car. I walked up Given Terrace. I walked down Union Turnpike. But the best walk we did was in the park where I used to play basketball.
Yeah?
It was open. I took her in the park. And now they replaced the hut. There used to be a hut in there. And one of the most racist things I ever heard come out of a person's mouth was in that fucking hut. That me and everybody in the park looked at each other and just kept fucking shaking our heads.
Damn.
There used to be a hut there, and the guy's name was Mr. Kennel. His 2 sons are still alive, or the one son's still alive. Nice kid. I always liked Jackie's his name. This has to be 1975. We're in this park, and we're just playing tag, whatever the fuck you play when you're 11 or 12. There was a basketball court, but in those days, we weren't allowed on the basketball court. The older kids were drunk. Unless they picked you, you couldn't fucking. So we just played, whatever, in the monkey bars and shit.
Chilled.
And that hut was there, and it was the summertime. And I'll never forget that Mr. Kennel was in that hut. And that was, you know.
He was coming in there?
No, he was sitting in there with a fan on him in this little hut, and the window was slide open. And he's sitting there, he's got his glasses on. Mr. Kennel's got to be 40.
Right.
And there's 8 Spanish kids, 20 Italian kids, 6 Irish kids, and 1 fat black girl.
Blowing him?
With a huge, with a huge Julius Irving afro. She's a little kid.
Right.
She's got to be 10. She's just she's throwing rocks at the kids. They're all throwing rocks at each other. They're all having a good time. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of the white kids spits at Marlo. And Marlo spits back at the white kid. And Mr. Kennel sees this. Now, we're over here. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. He sees this, and he slides open the window. And he pops his head on the window and goes, hey, Don't let that nigga spit get on you. Right? This is 1975. He goes, that shit'll go right through you. And he closed the window. And me and the other kids sat there and looked at each other like we had never heard. Like, I heard nigger on a Richard Pryor album.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. For him to yell it, that was the most and Marlo just kept spitting at the white kid like nothing happened. Marlo didn't give a fuck.
Damn, man.
That is
fucked
great.
up.
Well, that hut is gone. My point is, the hut and its racism is gone, right?
They had this kid that lived down the street from us named Boogie, and the dad was like a bus driver in our town, and he used to cut our hair, right? And
he's a bus driver that cut hair.
yeah, he was a bus driver that cut hair. And here's the crazy part. I didn't think about this. The only haircut he knew how to give was his own cut, right? Like the style he had, right? And it was a fucking. It wasn't even a style. It just looked like shit, right? So all the boys and most of the girls had the same cut in our town, man. Everybody looked jacked up. But were we talking about black people? Oh no. The priest yelled that shit, man.
The first time I really wanted to go to New Orleans was when I read about fucking the mafia down there, and how that guy ran the mob, and how everybody thought that whole Kennedy assassination came out of New Orleans. It was also very interesting to me. Then I saw a movie called with Richard Gere and Kim Basinger.
Fatal Attraction?
No. Fatal fucking Attraction. That's the chick that shows her pussy.
Oh, that's I knew it is Sharon Stone.
Right. This is.
What if Sigourney Weaver showed her pussy? Would you look or not?
Fuck yeah, with that over. Oh, actually, I love that sexy over.
No Mercy?
No Mercy was a movie that came out in 1987 about white. 86 about white motherfuckers killing each other in New Orleans. And the guy that was her boyfriend bought her. Bought her, like that happens in New Orleans. He bought her from her mama.
Right.
He raised, and they put a Woody Allen and fucked her. She was beautiful. Kim Basinger. You imagine buying Kim Basinger when she's like 13?
Oh, cheaper then.
And just feeding her,
That's a
and just
crazy
feeding
part.
her steaks and fucking fattening her up. When she's 18, you give her a stabbing, you marry her, she don't know no different. You hide her from the world. What time is it? I have no fucking idea. It's been 1982 for days. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask.
Do you think we all come from incest, really, when you really think about it?
Well,
we
I'm
have
from
to.
a fucking island.
Oh, then you have to probably have.
There's incest. I know for a fact that my grandmother and my grandfather like third cousins or something like that. So there's got to be, I'm retarded from bloodstream. You know what I'm saying? Something I know something happened. My uncle told me for the first time.
He said something wasn't right?
No, he told me, because you know that your great-grandmother and your great-grandfather were like third fucking cousins or something. That's why the maiden name is kind of weird. It's Valdez Malbarez or some shit. They just dropped the Malbarez or some shit. So it's an island. When you come from a fucking island, there's got to be incest somewhere along the line.
I don't think I'd ever do incest, man, even if I think I had the hottest family member ever, bro. Ever. Think about that, though, dude.
What
Say if
about
every
cousin?
Listen, I don't want to talk about incest on the church, though.
Okay, my bad.
We got fucking boundaries here. We can't be talking about incest. I had a cousin I wanted to fuck, too, as a kid.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to nobody. I ain't gonna bullshit nobody.
I thought you just said we couldn't talk about it.